This is the indie comic book guy. With me today, I got Joe M.F. McFee.
I like that.
You like that?
That's how I'm going to be about this topic today. I'm going to be that MF. People are
we were not
going
to do a show today. We were going to do a show Saturday. But
we have to talk about this. We have
to talk about this. Marvel has pissed off everybody on the internet, comic book fans of the series New Warriors. That's what we're talking about. This new book that's launching out of Marvel Comics. When is this book being released anyway? They just released a press release, so it's coming out soon. Let's just leave it at that.
Right.
Okay. So this writer, Daniel Kibblesmith. I've never heard of him. Joe just told me he wrote for some television shows. So he wrote
for Stephen Colbert. He wrote for the Stephen Colbert show.
That says a lot there. So he's not a comic book writer.
Mm-hmm.
But they trust him with relaunching the New Warriors, which has been relaunched 5 times. 5 times. Each time it gets worse and worse. Well, I actually like the 2014 run. But other than that, and the original, it's just been horrible. This series, for whatever reason, and I blame Marvel, they put this series in a box where it's been used as a plot device more than as a action adventure superhero series. The last series I remember they used them as a plot device for Civil War at one point, where they killed the New Warriors, were responsible for a lot of people dying, and most of the New Warriors died.
Mm-hmm.
And ever since then, it's just the series has been tainted. And I don't think that was the last one. I think that was the one before then. Anyway, let's talk about this new Daniel Kibblesmith book that they're calling New Warriors. And the whole premise is the New Warriors are going to usher in a new age of heroes and train these new heroes. We've seen this done in Teen Titans and Titans, Avengers Academy. This premise is not new to comic book fans. Am I right?
Mm-hmm. No.
And people aren't mad at the premise. They have no problems with the premise. It's these new characters that are being introduced that people have problems with. So, Joe, I'll let you take it from here. Let's start with Trailblazer.
Yeah.
Who is she from the description, and why are people in an uproar about her?
Well, most people are taken aback by Trailblazer because they're portraying her as an obese African-American female. But for me, it goes deeper than that because they talked about her power, the name itself, and her attitude behind things. I mean, yeah, they try to set her up as like the person that is like the good natured person that always help the community and stuff like that. But you have to think about the overall appearance of this character, the context of her hero name, the fact that she carries a magical backpack that quote unquote that she got from God, which they're not going to tell you what God is. And the fact that she's named Trailblazer. If you look at the character designs, I'm not sure if you could pull up the character design here.
I'm gonna show them on the screen.
Okay, she is a heavy set black girl. Though her motives are good, but you have to look at the underlying subliminal message that they're hitting at. It's not the fact that overweight women can't be superheroes, but they're starting out with her being obese and she's coming to grips with being obese. The fact that they called her Trailblazer by giving her the guise of having a backpack. If you truly think about today's society and about being a trailblazer and about some of the characteristics of African American women, and the fact that her power with the magical backpacks, just like she could pull out pretty much anything at random from this pocket universe at will. It's more, it seems like this character can pretty much be pulling out anything materialistic, if I could put it in that aspect, to be the leader or the person who set the trail or blazed the trail for everybody else to follow. And it gets to that aspect. It's like, are you really talking about how materialistic Black women can be, or are you really saying that she could be the leader for this group?
Mm.
And you're not really telling the true story about what she really can do, what her true motivation is, because on the surface level, based upon those things that I mentioned, you're really slapping the stereotypical image of, the typical racist stuff that we already have for several decades prior in Marvel Comics as support characters are concerned. And now you're trying to bring this more to the forefront to make it a more prevalent character for people to like. No, that's not going to work very well.
Okay. I want to
Now,
play devil's advocate.
I get the fact that they want to talk about the obesity factor and how she gets over it. But in this society, when we know that we're very materialistic and we're caught up on looks, you're perpetuating the same stereotype. Even though you're trying to set her up to be like a character that overcomes that. It's not like, I'm not sure if you remember the character from Great Lakes Avengers, Big Bertha.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if people remember Big Bertha is a actual fashion model whose power is to become obese. And she was more comfortable in her obese form only because of the simple fact that society, looks at her in her obese form as being something less than, but she also saw that in that form, she could be more herself. And that was something that Great Lakes Avengers really taught people. Mm. And they up here that whole concept has just got thrown out the window with this character Trailblazer.
Okay, I'm gonna play devil's advocate because it's boring if we both agree.
Right, exactly.
Now I agree with you. Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong, but I'm gonna call it the Lizzo argument.
Okay.
Many fans of Lizzo, they're like, "Oh, she's celebrating being a big, beautiful woman. She can do anything skinny people can do." And they're like, "Oh, people are fat shaming Lizzo." Now, with this character, Trailblazer, are people really fat shaming this character? Because to my knowledge, there hasn't been any overweight Black female superheroes in the Marvel universe. I may be wrong, but I haven't seen it. There really aren't that many Black female superheroes in the Marvel universe.
Any leads beyond, not African American, because the first couple ones that come to mind was Big Bertha, and I'm not sure if you remember Volcana.
Yeah,
Volcana was really the first one that I knew about, all the way back from the original Secret War.
So the argument is, why can't Trailblazer be heavyset and be a hero?
That's not the issue.
Mm-hmm.
The issue is the motivation behind the character. Her being heavyset is not the problem. It's the focus on her being heavyset by the writer or the creative staff. They're not treating her like she's the equal. It's almost like society is shunning her because she's overweight, and they're shunning Black women because the writer or the creator staff feels that most African American women fit this category. And especially as a young teen, where they are impressionable and they are looking at how body shape, overall image, how you portray yourself in society. Those pressures come into play. Instead of saying that she was okay with it, they're saying that she's going to struggle with it. And I was like, why is she going to struggle? Why is she going to struggle with that concept? You are what you are.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Her weight is going to be the focal point. And when I show the character design on the screen, people will see this. Compared to the other women on the team, you have Firestar and Namorita, who's walking around in a bathing suit, and Firestar with a skin tight suit. Trailblazer is wearing regular clothes, more or less, with a magic
more
backpack.
like a jumpsuit, or a hoodie and a hoodie and some sweatpants, and it's just like,
yes, I don't get it. I get these Dora the Explorer vibes, or Felix the Cat with the magic backpack. It's not really a power. Does the backpack only work for her, or can anyone get this backpack?
No, from my understanding, it only works for her. It's a unique backpack that was given to her. And they're not going to explain how it was given to her and who gave it to her. They just say it was given to her by quote unquote God, but they're not going to focus on God.
So overall, Trailblazer, it's not really a character. She's just
there.
She's just there to be a fat person that's dealing with weight issues. That's pretty much, does that sum it up?
That's what all these articles are pretty much saying.
Mm-hmm. So it's not like they just like, hey, here's the character design, and you just happen to see that she's overweight, and that's it. They don't mention nothing about her weight. They go on and talk about her powers. No, like you said, the focus is on her weight. It's the same with Lizzo. The focus has never been on her singing.
Nope.
It's always been on her weight.
Nothing on her singing, nothing about showmanship. It's always about her weight. It's the fact that by standards for people who are in this industry, she's obese. It's like, okay, but she's making money. You didn't see people comment about Adele in the same aspect, but then again, you have that racial divide again.
Well, Adele went and lost weight and went and got her a black man.
But again, Adele started out in the same aspect where people were saying the exact same thing. And I'm just saying as a whole, people said the exact same thing about her. She did what she did. Lizzo is comfortable in her own skin. You're not going to see her make that move like Adele did. But yet you're going to have the same criticism, same people criticizing because that's not what industry standard is. And people are always going to look at that aspect. And that's the reason why this character is a bad character. Instead of naturally bringing in the conversation about that, or let the character experience that through actual events in the series, you're starting off letting the readers know, hey, this is what's going to come down. And
speaking of bad characters, it's a good segue. Let's talk about screen time. The next character on this team. Basically, he got his powers from an experimental internet gas, which I have no clue what that is. And we've seen these type of characters before in manga and anime where they're pretty much plugged into the internet at all times. There's no real character there.
Nope. It's social commentary about how can somebody who are plugged into the internet could be a hero. No true real superpowers other than just being a guy that has access to information, footage, and all this other stuff. It's like he's one with the internet.
I don't even think we really need to say anything else about him. It's not a character.
Nope.
And what's the name of the goth character?
Be negative.
We're saving the best ones, the ones we really want to talk about for last, because we want to get these other ones out of the way. Be negative.
Be negative. A vampiric goth character. And I'm up here, it's like, really? Are you really talking about this generation of people that are just constantly negative? And you want to, again, the name of the character by itself is more like a villain. I have to be quite honest with you. Outside of Trailblazer, all the other characters to me sounds like villains. They sound so much like villains. Period.
Be negative.
Being negative.
Is that his blood type? And I wonder about this writer. Did he really think he was being creative with this? Apparently, he got Morpheus
Again,
blood
he's Stephen
infused when he
Colbert.
was a
He's
baby or
comedic.
whatever.
I felt that he was being comedic and sarcastic with it, and edgy and catchy. But that's the problem with it. If you're going to be edgy and catchy with this stuff, you have to make certain that it doesn't overshadow and overtake what the character could be, and make certain that the characters can be likable.
But teenagers don't even use the word goth these days. My
No.
generation used that. Kids these days call themselves emo. And
Mm-hmm.
the writer described the character as, he likes old music from the early 2000s and the 90s. He couldn't even name one band.
Nope.
One musician. Nothing.
Nope.
And that says a lot. It shows that he did not
classic music, as in quote unquote the 90s. So this is definitely something that, wasn't truly thought out in the aspect of being like a goth. It's more along the lines of like, he just like it, like what is now considered modern retro stuff from the 90s, stuff from the early 2000s. And he's supposed to have some relation to the actual Morpheus on top of that.
I don't know what to say. It just keeps getting worse and worse and worse with these characters. Now let's talk about the ones that have the internet just screaming right now. The twins.
The African American twins. The fraternal twins of Snowflake and Safe Space.
Snowflake and Safe Space.
I'm up here. It's like that. It's like at first when I saw those two, I was like, this is hitting below the belt.
It really is, especially for and I hate to put it this way, a white writer to come in and create these type of characters representing African American culture is saying a lot. It's saying a lot that he got permission to create these characters and that the green light was given to launch this series. And I know a lot of people don't like the word social justice warriors, but damn it, in this case, there's no other word to describe this. This book was definitely written with an agenda in mind.
It's written for, to be quite honest, it's written for the agenda to undermine them by giving them exactly what they want. That's the way I'm looking at it. Because again, using the names the way that they did, the way that the characters are built, it's a slap in the face to those people who are ever called a snowflake. Is a slap to the people who want to have safe spaces, but also in the same aspect, it brings up that call to action. It's like, this is the reason why we have to have safe space, to keep people like this from doing blah 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 blah.
Let's start with the term snowflake.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean for the people that don't know?
Snowflake, in my definition, is being very, very fragile about either a particular aspect of your own culture or how you feel about the culture around you. It is easily fragile. It is easily is dispersed based upon the actual think about a snowflake. A snowflake is a very beautiful thing when you behold it. So when you behold a culture that you like, it's a very beautiful thing. But when you really touch it or get close enough to it, you see that it's so fragile that it kind of melts itself away. And because of that melting away aspect, you really cannot truly grasp or appreciate that culture for what it really is, because it's just that fragile. Or what you hold to it is that fragile.
Masculinity, because at the core, that's what this is about. African American masculinity. And yes, we have to talk about African American masculinity, which is a big thing. So when you call a black man a snowflake,
Mm-hmm.
what is that saying about him? Because
Well,
in our
this is the
community,
ironic
we
thing.
have to.
This is the ironic
Yeah.
thing.
Okay,
Because
go ahead.
you have to think about how they're using Snowflake in this book. Snowflake is the female twin in this
But
book.
binary. They didn't say if it's male or female.
I'm going to put it to you the way I'm going to read in between the lines. The character is female. The reason that they're trying to use binary is because they're trying to talk about the whole gender equality, gender neutrality, and the fact that gender cannot be truly defined between male and female. They designed the character to look more feminine than male, because you have to think about the other twin. The other twin looks clearly male in this case.
But see,
which was safe space.
That's why I think this is a male character. They say binary because you have some homosexual men who are very feminine, who have a lot of very feminine traits. And you have some straight men that have very feminine traits that aren't homosexual.
Mm-hmm.
But in the black male community, we are taught to not be emotional, to be tough, and to not cater to that feminine side. That's why I think this character is very much male. And
well,
I'm
just looking at it I guess I'm looking at it from a different aspect here, because when you go
wait, let me finish.
Okay.
So when you have people in the gay community, they are like, yo, I'm very much a man. Like, don't insult my manhood. They may like sleeping with men, but at the end of the day, they're like, yo, I'm a man. And you have some gay people that are very feminine. It's an insult to them to call them a snowflake or to call them a punk or anything like that. Because they're like, no, I am a man at the end of the day. So that's why I look at this character, and I'm looking at these characters this writer's created. Remember, the brothers of Jock, big, strong, represents that masculinity. Then this character, polar opposite. He's the soft brother. He's the one kind of like the nerd in school. He's going to get picked on. So he needs his big brother to protect him. Hence, safe space. You see the polar opposites? It's kind of like the group Outcast.
I get that.
People call Andre 3000, who's one of the best rappers ever. They called him gay. They called him bisexual. They called this man every name that they can think of to question his manhood. To the public's knowledge, he's straight. He has kids.
Mm-hmm.
Does he dress flamboyant?
Yes.
Yeah. So what? If you look at the pimp culture, a lot
that's
of
the way that they dressed.
Flamboyant.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm looking at this character as this writer's portrait of what he calls soft black men. So you had a polar opposite. You remember the twins.
Mm-hmm.
The big Jock.
I add one more concept to that here, because I went a little bit further, because I've actually brought in the whole Japanese aspect of what they consider a new life or half-life individual. And that's our like actual people who may be born one way, but were biologically born a male. Like, for a classic example is the character Poison from Final Fight.
Mm-hmm.
In the Western definition, they said that she was a post-op, transsexual. But in the original occurrence of how they talked about in Japan, Poison was actually born the way that he was. Born with a female body, but had the penis and everything, and had to deal with the aspect of, what am I really male because of what I have, or am I female, which is the 90% of my body? And because she was in that whole gang aspect, she took on a lot of male traits, but the body is very feminine, except for that one aspect.
Mm.
And that's the reason why I was thinking that Snowflake was more representative of that. Is more representative to the aspect of what culture are you truly in and how people look at you as a whole. Because, like you said, if you took the masculinity route, which I agree with, if you look at the masculinity route and apply that to that character, everything that you said holds true. It falls apart for her because of the simple fact that I can't truly be male because I have a feminine body. People look at me, they're going to see woman. They're not going to automatically say, oh, you're a male. They're going to see woman. And that's the reason why I took that the way that I looked at that design. That design clearly shows that Snowflake is built more like a woman, a teenage woman than a male.
Whether Snowflake's character, the character colors are purposely blue. Meanwhile, Safeguard's colors are purposely pink.
Pink.
Because it's clear they want you to have questions about both of their sexualities. So let's talk about safe space, which is the most Harvey Weinstein-ish name you can come up with. When people think safe space, these are victims. People who don't want to become a victim of sexual abuse, of bullying, of anything horrible. They want that safe space. And to name this character that says a lot, especially when this character's powers only work when they are putting a shield, a force field around you to protect you. That's not a character. That's not a character.
Again, we're in agreement there. And again, I'm looking at it beyond just a little bit more, because when you truly think about a safe space, you want to be protected from everything that is bad for you, but yet you don't ever challenge anything. You want to be stuck in this space where everything is blissful in your point of view. If it falls outside of that point of view, it's bad, it's evil. And you don't challenge yourself to find out whether the opposite side has a point. You're always going to have that narrow-minded focus. And that comes back down to the character. The character is a safeguard. That's all you're going to have them to do, is be the safeguard. If they put up that force field, that's all they can do. They can't see any other application to that but that.
Wonder Twins, because people had questions about the Wonder Twins, not only their relationship to each other, but their sexual preferences as well.
Well, that's why I like this new aspect of the Wonder Twins, the new book. They kind of clarify a lot of that stuff. Because they actually show Jaina going on to dates and all this other stuff where they're clearly not, they clearly are brother and sister, and they do have that aspect about it. But it's just it was just like, it was weird because it's like, are they brother and sister? If they brother and sister that does X, Y, and Z.
So what about their costumes? Let's talk about their costumes real quick.
Again, B negative is, like I said, he's dressed like an emo bat, if I could put it to you that way. And to be quite honest, for it to be a kid that suffers from the same affliction that Morpheus has in the Marvel comics, it does not do him any justice, to be quite honest. It makes him stand out more so than anything else.
I don't think anybody's going to take these characters seriously.
And then the design of Snowflake and Safe Space, they're pretty much wearing the same costume. The colors are different and the symbols are different. And you do notice that Safe Space is taller and much more built. But you are
Yeah, because
correct.
safe space is supposed to be the jock character and protect his binary sibling.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. Although,
But the question here is this:
mm-hmm.
his binary sibling. But the question is, does it become?
Non-binary.
Huh?
I forgot. Non-binary sibling.
Mm-hmm. But the question is, my question here is he afraid to let people know that he's non-binary as well?
Mm.
That's the thing that I'm trying to figure out based upon the designs of both of them together.
Okay,
because why would you protect? Because why? Think about it. When you think about jock culture, why would you protect somebody that is non-binary? Unless, like you said, it's a loved one, and even if it's a loved one, you know, rag a kid and do whatever you want. But when it comes down to it, there's going to be some underlying things that are going to be telltale about you that you don't want coming out as well, which kind of goes along with the whole thing about his name being safe space. I mean, like I said, it's like by nature, I think about these things as a writer, producer, and creator.
But do you think this book is going to last past 12 issues? The last few New Warriors series, and they relaunched it 5 times, none of them have lasted past 12 issues.
Well, this is what I'm going to say here. And I know one thing about Marvel, and this always held true about Marvel. If issue number 1 does not meet that quota for that first month, it's done.
Yeah, they're going to reduce it to a miniseries, and you might get 6 issues.
It might not even make 6.
Mm.
Perfect example, Black Panther and the Crew.
That was a horrible idea.
A horrible idea, which was well written, but they put no marketing behind it. 0.
No, and they're not going to.
And it died. It died before it could take off because I got the first 2 issues of that book and I was like, oh, this is going to be good. And then canceled. Never made it to the 3rd issue. Canceled.
Oh, they didn't even go to 3. That's sad. All right, so let's give our final thoughts on this.
Okay.
What are your final thoughts on this new Warriors book?
My final thoughts is that I can already tell you this book is not meant for a comic book reader like myself at all. I don't know who it's truly marketing to at this point. I would be surprised that it goes beyond 5 issues. And maybe this guy might pull a rabbit out of his hat and give us something, good. But I'm not going to say based upon his character designs. I'm just more along the lines like after seeing how he marginalized pretty much teenagers, especially this generation of teenagers, and especially the ones of color.
Well, all of them. Yeah, you're right. It's just all of them are stereotypes.
It's going to be a backlash to anybody who is 13 and older that's just not going to even go close to this book. I see that happening. Even though they could relate to them, they're not put in the proper light. They're not cool. They're stigmata, if I could say that. They're all living stigmatisms in a comic book, and people don't want that. People want escapism. And especially in this climate right now, dealing with coronavirus and all the other serious stuff that we have dealing with right now, we don't need stigmatism. We want escapism. We want something that is fun. This is not fun.
No. Do you think social justice warriors
a comic writing experience go bad because you quote unquote have writing talent for television shows and Marvel is moving more towards the cinematic side, that stuff that could be easily translated to movies as opposed to true storytelling?
That's true. Now, do you think the social justice warrior comic books, which keep failing over and over and over, do you think they have a place in the industry from a sales standpoint? Not saying that there's not an audience, but hell, obviously there's not an audience because they keep failing.
Well, I'm going to say this, and you might not agree with me on this, but it's a different way of thinking about that question. When you ask me that question, you're really asking me, is a niche just as important as something that has been established in mainstream for many of years? The answer to that question is no. No, the answer to that question is no. And that's the way I look at social justice warrior books as creators, other people in the industry, other fans are looking at it. And I put in quote marks that because I have told you before, I hate those three letters. I don't look at books in that standpoint because I feel that people who complain about those books might as well tell themselves you're in a social justice warrior type group yourself. And those are normally like the gatekeepers, the standard bearers, and all the other stuff that's been here for many of years. That's saying this is not how it's done. Things could be done different ways. But to come back to your question, they are different. I could look at them as a niche. Not every niche is good for everybody.
No.
There's going to be some SJW books, as you call them, that speak to specifically a group, and you're going to have a following just only by that group. Will that sell across the board? Hell no. I mean, there's several books that are out there that we know that it's not going to be appealing to the general comic book reader as a whole, but it will pull those who want to slowly come into comic books that of that bent or that type, or want to see something of that nature. Now, how do that becomes more popular? That group has to become more, how can I say, involved in the industry itself and learn what has been done in the past. Instead of demanding certain things, start showing what you truly support.
Mm-hmm.
Marketers look at what do you buy and how do you buy it, as opposed to, oh, I want this right now. It's like, okay, you telling me this right now, where's your money?
Exactly.
Well, I'm going to wait until I see where it comes out, and I want Marvel to do blah 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 blah. Okay, but what if Marvel doesn't do it, but this no-name publisher over there does it, and they do it well, and they have the following of regular comic book readers to make certain that it lives beyond 5, 6, 10, 12 issues. People have to realize that they have to be involved in the industry as a whole. You can't just separate industry as opposed to topic. The topic and how you interact with the industry has to be one and the same.